How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
Welcome to another edition of the Tactical Empire. I'm joined by Sean today. How are you guys? What's up, man?
Hey, I'm here. It's me again. Now I'm good, man. I'm good. The wife got hit with flu B mid last week, followed by our son getting strep throat. And so they were rocked pretty good end of last week and this weekend. We were heading up to Pennsylvania on Saturday for cousin birthday party. So it was only me and the daughter. We are holding strong. Me and the daughter are good.
There you go.
Luckily my kids handle sickness really well, but the boy, he's 3.5, and this one, he had a fever for 4 days. It finally broke yesterday. So this morning he woke up, and like, it's nice to see the pep in his step again. You know, it's like kids can be, you know, when they handle sickness well, but he was on the couch, man, for 2 days, basically doing nothing. And it's sad to see, but he's back at it. He's at school today, 4 days on whatever medication he's got. So kids, because he had an ear infection 2 weeks ago, they couldn't give him the same meds. So he's got and it doesn't taste as good. So, you know, he's got to take it twice a day. So it's like, here, dude, it's medicine time. And he wants to play the sad card for 15 minutes, but then he takes it on his own time, and he's like, Daddy, I took my medicine. So you got to cheer him on when he's ready to be cheered on.
Well, good. I hope everybody's feeling better. They
do. But luckily it didn't hit me. I need to do a better job at caretaking when family members are feeling down. But no, it's been a good week. How was your weekend?
That is not my strong suit either.
Me neither.
Good. We are full in, ready to list our house mode, which means that like every single thing you see looks like a project. So like, oh, we should fix that. Oh, we should put a switch plate cover on that. Oh, we should replace that switch plate cover. Oh, we need light bulbs for this. It's fine. Wild. So we're deep in it though. So like all things are go. I bought a truck last Friday and it's getting shipped. So it's on its way. That's good. That's a step in the right direction. RV is supposed to be done this week off the line, and then we have to wait for a part for 2 weeks after that. And then our house is going to list this end of this week as well. So
hell yeah. And then it's easy sailing for there. You got nothing else to do but travel the country with your family. Is that right?
Well, no. I just I have to meet. I think I have another 10 contractors coming out to the storage facility this week on Friday to shoot us bids. One guy's there right now, and then so we're still bidding that job and hopefully getting it started in the next 2 weeks. So we've got a full rehab to do on a 128 unit storage facility, and a couple other things. I got a refi I'm still in the middle of. I'm subdividing lots that we own to maximize value, and so I'm dealing with surveys and shit like that, and I'm wrapping that up. That should be done this week too. So
all right,
big stuff.
That was a softball toss for today's topic. I kind of want to take the back seat. I'm going to take the lazy route today. I might actually move to the seat behind me and just kick my feet up and let you run with it here. I want you to educate the people on how you've gotten interested in and started taking the steps towards investing in this value add storage unit deal. You can drop the numbers when and if you want, but basically it requires no money out of your pocket. You know, Jeff has his backstory, former Army Ranger, went into corporate company, owned a gym, mentored people. And so at some point in his life, he owned zero real estate, which is what some of you listening to this, that is the current position you're at. And life goes on, things change, people educate themselves, they take action, they make moves. And then all of a sudden, Jeff, who owns real estate, is now getting his first storage unit deal that I know of. If it's your first or not, you can correct me. But why don't you just tell people what got you interested in the storage unit space and kind of how you got from point A to you're probably at point H right now, trying to get to point Z, which will be owning a storage unit value add project.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I've been in real estate for quite a long time. You talk about owning real estate and not owning real estate. I have owned properties in the past, and then I sold everything, and then I had a hiatus where I didn't own any real estate besides our personal residence, and then I started buying again. And so, but I had always owned residential real estate. I had owned residential in both the commercial space and in like single family 1 to 4 units. So this is my first endeavor into commercial self-storage. But I had done value adds, which value add properties, for those of you that may not know, are where you grab you buy an investment and you identify opportunities to pull levers to add value to the property, to kind of build in equity that you can capture. You force equity appreciation, and it's not through holding the asset for a long period of time. It's through improving the asset and making it more profitable. So I enjoy doing that. We've had conversations about that on the show. You and I have talked about that. I enjoy the gamification aspect of being able to identify and see a business, which is how I look at properties. I see an asset and I see my ability to force equity into that project, if you will. And that's what this was. So to take it in a couple directions, the reason that I wanted to, I'm hedging to an extent. I've probably done 50 rehabs on single family homes in my career. And so I'm very well versed in projects and rehabs and operating GCs and running kind of, if you will, I do the Burr method in the rental space for the most part, and which is just like flipping houses, except you keep the property, you hold on to the asset. And so you may go in and you buy a property at a discount because of either deferred maintenance or just there's something wrong with it, if you will. And for whatever reason, a distressed seller is selling it, and you come in and you upgrade the home and then rent it out for top dollar or whatever. You find opportunities to maximize your rentals. And so what I'm doing is I'm using that skill set that I've developed in the residential market. I'm going to apply it to the commercial market. And you can do this in a variety of ways. I mean, people do it with apartments. You go into an apartment complex, you raise the value of the overall units, you raise the rents, thus the net profit is higher, thus you're forcing appreciation onto that property. And so, because that's how commercial is valued. It's valued at net operating income. So if anything you can do to increase the operating income of the property, or profit, if you will, increases the value of the property exponentially. And so, so that's one aspect of it. Like, I have experience, so that works for me. The reason I'm targeting that asset class is because there's a lot of opportunity in that asset class. I mean, it's been around for a long time. It's been hot for a long time, obviously, self-storage. I also think it's somewhat of a hedge, as far as, like, I watch everything that's going on in the residential space. I watch housing prices. I regurgitate data all the time to you guys in the group and tell you what's going on with housing prices. And what we're seeing is days on the market and demand, supply and demand. We're 7.2 million units short for housing. But there's no end in sight to housing prices going up, because they are still going up. And we have reached the bottom of the so-called recession with regards to the housing market, and things started to climb kind of in January, February timeframe. And so I think that they're going to have to do something to provide housing. And by they, I mean I think there's going to be some sort of government oversight or some sort of programs forced upon us to make housing affordable for regular people, first-time home buyers, stuff like that, right? And so how does that affect the marketplace when you're a landlord, right? Is it rent controls? Is it some of the crazy shit that they've implemented in California or New York? Whereas like you can pass properties on to family members and as tenants, and there's rental caps and you can't raise the rents. I mean, there's fucking multi-million-dollar houses in California that they're charging 3 figures of rent on, like less than thousands of dollars monthly. So because there's grandfathering, there's all kinds of nutty stuff that goes on. So I'm watching all that going, I should probably hedge a bit because my entire portfolio is residential. So it includes all the same stuff. It includes tenants. I'm providing places for people to live. And then that comes with maintenance. It comes with toilets. It comes with all this other stuff. So self-storage appeals to me because I can buy this property I just bought, which is 128 units. There's a slab on grade, and there is it's 4 buildings actually. And so, but there's 4 slabs on grade, and there is sheet metal and just commercial grade warehouse style materials, right? There's no toilets. There is some electrical. There's no running water. And so like the limitations of things to go wrong in maintenance are much less. Okay. So like if I can go out and I can buy a house and I have $300,000 in that house and I rent it to somebody and I make $500 a month net profit. That's $500 for one door that I own, right? I'm coming over here. I'm buying the storage unit. I have 128 doors. I have the potential to have 128 tenants. I have very little overhead as far as what we're doing because I'm putting solar in and all kinds of other stuff to keep our electrical bills down and everything else. So that I want the thing to be as sustaining as it can be from a standpoint of making it very appealing to then flip and sell eventually down the road. We're going to cash flow it for a while, but so there's no maintenance, no upkeep besides like lawn and the grounds, keeping the grounds clean. You need a caretaker, if you will, and someone to lock the units when someone's card fails. And so from an operational standpoint, when you talk about operating the business, like from our standpoint, we have to put marketing in place and that's it, and keep it full. And the lease up, marketing and lease up are the big deals, but most of that's managed by software now, right? Mm-hmm. And so from a maintenance and management standpoint, can you imagine if I tried to turn around and buy a 128 unit apartment complex? Now it would be a different price point, but from a management standpoint and a maintenance standpoint and me going full-time RVing, I am looking for things that are stress-free-ish. Not stress-free because I don't really have that expectation that things are going to be stress-free because they're going to go wrong. We're going to have hiccups. But for me, it was an asset class that fit with what I want to do. We're looking a 3-month rehab that's going to be necessary to do the whole thing. We would like to get it done in 6 weeks, so I'm hoping we can. But once the rehab is done, and then you get your management in place, which is just a person, or there are management teams, commercial management teams. And so you might look into doing that as well. We're looking at one person specifically to hire to limit costs, because if you hire a company, you pay company fees, as you know. And so it just right now it fits with my model of diversification while utilizing my skill set to go in. So you wanted some numbers on the thing. Originally, so I have a partner on the deal, a 50-50 partner. There were 3 of us originally. And when we originally came into it, they had bought it for a couple $100,000 is all. So I was out of the deal. They have owned this property for 3 years at this point. They've controlled it for 3 years. I came in, I bought in, so I paid $25,000 to get in. So part of that went to like taxes and just maintenance of what was going on. So then what I'll give you the hard numbers now. We're buying it for like 500,000 right now because we're buying out a partner, and then we've got carrying costs of the last 3 years to take care of. So we're buying it for $506,000. As it sits, it's completely vacant. There's 0 tenants in there. We've got a significant rehab to do on it, 128 unit rehab, new garage doors, some fixing the roof, painting the thing, getting it ready. And so I expect the rehab will be somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000. We, as it sits though, it will, like, as it sits today, vacant and everything, it's worth probably $1 million, as it sits. And so once we do the rehab and complete the rehab, get the lease up to 80%, maybe even 70%, it should appraise for 1.4 million to 1.7 million. So we bought it for 5. We're going to put 200 in it. We'll be in it for, let's call it 750. And once we pay the insurance and everything else and the marketing for lease up, we'll be all in for 750. And it should appraise on the low end for, let's call it 1.5. So we're doubling the value in what we're doing with it. So we should have $750,000 of equity. And the way that we did this without putting money of our own money in, minus the 25,000 I threw in and whatever the guys threw in at the original deal to secure the deal. But it was such a good buy it's such a unique deal because it was such a good buy 3 years ago that there was still so much meat on the bone that we could fucking go ahead and buy it again. Mm-hmm. And it still makes a ton of sense. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we took the other partner out because he wanted to do a syndication and make it super complicated, which is what wasted like another 6 months with this project. And so we turned it around. My partner and I got on the phone and said, hey, let's do this way, which is the original way, which is what you're referring to. So what we did was we turned around and we offered a first position lien. So we went and raised money, capital, as a loan specifically. And instead of going the syndication route, we just did a first position lien, meaning anybody that gives us any money is in first position, meaning they own the asset if we default. So it's backed by that $1 million storage facility, and it's personally guaranteed by each of us. So like, not only will you get a fucking asset that you can wholesale and get all your money back if you're an investor with us and you're on this loan, you're also going to be able to pursue me personally to make me pay you back too. And so like, I'm really happy with the way it's structured for the investor's sake, because like I very rarely have been involved in deals that are so like bulletproof that like, fuck, I mean, you could take that storage facility, give it to a wholesaler today and go get your money back. Any investor could get the whole sum of their money back. Most of the time when you take loans and stuff like that, it's kind of dicey. There's a period of time when maybe the asset has the value, but then there's also like, oh, do we have to go in and actually finish this fucking rehab to get
the value,
our money back? Or are we taking 60 cents on the dollar and taking a haircut because we're not the people that wanted to take on this project? Like This project isn't like that. There's value in the asset as it sits right now, unrepaired, to where you can go get the whole money back. So that said, we're going to go ahead and we offered 15% interest for the people that wanted to lend, and we're doing a 6 to 9 month note with options to extend based on points. So we pay the investors each time we need to extend at all. They get a point on the way. So like if you gave me $100,000, I give you $1,000 to extend it for 30 more days, if you will. So you get that on top of your 15% interest as well. And so it's a pretty good deal for everyone involved. But the faster that we can, like, as soon as everybody wires their funds, the clock starts. So that's where it gets like dicey on my end, and why I need to get those contractors in there. I need to receive all like legit bids from licensed and bonded contractors, so that we can make sure. And we just had a conversation about this the other day. We're gonna buy bonds on the rehab, which means that if the guy comes in, does damage, or flakes out on us and takes off, that bond pays back. It's like a warranty insurance, if you will, and you get enough cash to finish the job. So that will also be insurance for our investors as well. Because there's been situations where a contractor can come in, get their distribution or whatever, their draws, and then they leave the job unfinished. And in a big project where you're cutting checks for $100,000 a pop, like you can get left with a situation where either like me and my partner got to come up with cash, or we've got to bring in more investors, which dilutes the amount we're going to pull out. Because at the back end of this thing, when we go get that after repair value, when the whole project is done, hopefully in 6 or 8 weeks, we're already starting the refi. Like as soon as the project starts, we're starting the refi. We're starting the paperwork process, everything else. And then when it appraises for whatever it appraises for, let's call it 1.5. If you're doing 80-20 on that, it'd probably be more like 75-25 for loan to value. And like 1.5 million at 75 would be 1.125. So like that's the loan that we'll get for a value of 1.5. So then we owe our investors back $800,000 of cash plus their interest that they've accrued throughout the whole thing. And then we've already decided that we're actually not going to pull more cash. So whatever appraisal we get, we're going to cash flow it when we're done with it for 2 years at least. And so, since we're 50-50 partners, it's a very simple deal on what we want to do. And so we're going to just leave the equity in the loan rather than pulling the extra $200,000, because that's only $100,000 for he and I. And if we just leave it in there, the debt service will be much lower. Because the play is to hold it for 2 or 3 years and then sell it for like 2.4. And that's the real play. So ultimately at the end of the day, then we walk away with like, we'd have debt service at that point of 600,000. It'd be if we sold it for 2.4, 1.8 capture on the deal, we both walk away with almost $1 million for 3 years work and creatively putting it together.
Dealing with a little stress, but it's not 9 to 5 stress, right? It's delayed gratification. You're putting in work now to get that payoff later. So Jeff, I got nothing to add to this topic. You answered every single basic question that I had without diving too deep into the ins and outs. But a couple lessons just real quick that I pulled out was you're using your skill set from something you've learned and done, and you're just tweaking the asset in which it's put into. And that's what I say on other podcast episodes where it's like, hey, I think I'm good at customer service. I owned a business that was a service-based business. So when I looked at real estate, I went into the short-term rental game because it was hospitality business. So I could use the same skills that I learned in the gym service business to bolster my investment strategy. So I hear the same thing here. So, but at the end of the day, I know that we've talked about this on personal branding, where it was like, hey, if you don't show people what it is that you're doing, then you don't have credibility. You don't have the authority to go ask people for money for a real estate deal. So as we mentor people, it's like, hey, you need to prove that you're a steward of money. You need to prove that you're out there doing things and adding value into the world, however you define that. And then when you need financing, when you need capital, people will be more willing to hand over theirs, especially if you have good returns, you can protect their investments. So it sounds like you guys did a good job doing that. I don't have anything to add to this topic, but I knew that it would be good for listeners to hear how you've approached this investment. Is there anything that you want to add to the people that may be interested in learning more, or how should they get started on raising funds or anything?
Oh man, if we talk about raising capital or identifying deals, I mean, like the biggest question I get is like, how do you find storage deals? And like to Sean's point about personal branding, it's people send them to me because they know that, or they hear that I'm doing storage deals. Like that's it. Like for real. And so like to that point, like last week I made a post on social media about like needing a contractor to bid this project. And because we've already got 8 contractors that came down there, only like 3 of the guys wrote the bids because they're extensive and they take some time. But we're looking to get a whole nother tranche of guys down there to do it and to bid the project. And so I posted on social media, which then what did that do? That connected me with 40 more people that now know I'm in storage. And then they connected me with another like tier of people. So when you talk about the web of connection, like that's what I'm creating with that. And so when you're talking about identifying deals, one of the things I'm super passionate about and have told everybody about is you just have to tell people what you're looking for. So like the biggest thing is establish what you're doing, because you never know who you're talking to. And like, I mean, I always make a joke about it. Like if you're looking for storage, you should just say you're looking for storage to everyone you know, because you have no idea. Like Sean's aunt's cousin might be selling a storage facility right now. And like, maybe we had a conversation over lunch. People just don't, they're so busy. They have no idea. They're busy with their own shit. They have their own problems and everything else. And so if you don't just tell people what you're looking for, like no one can help you. But the other thing is people do want to help you. So if you bring it to their attention, they're like, oh, I can definitely connect you with so-and-so. And, or you may have a conversation later in that day and it pops top of mind because like, oh, I just had a conversation with somebody that is looking for that particular thing. Right. So that's it. I'm happy to answer any other questions you guys got. So send them through.
Hit them up on our free Facebook group, the Tactical Empire Community, or find Jeff or I on Instagram. Our handles are on the video on our YouTube page. Jeff, thanks for disclosing the details of that deal. And I look forward to seeing it play out, especially because I'm putting $2 into that deal. So I look forward to it.
Yeah.
All right,
Me
man.
too.
Well, I appreciate it. Guys, we'll chat here soon. On to the next one.